Hey everyone, it's Xant. So here I was, getting all comfy in bed, forgetting that it's patch night, when suddenly my scraper angrily dings me to tell me I need to make a new video. Gotta do what you gotta do, right? So the leak I recently discussed has popped up. It wasn't too surprising since the Gujin was on the banner, so there wasn't much doubt it'd be next. Anyways, let's get into the new stuff. The new gacha machines, followed by the welfare, and finally the pilots. So first up is the Shining Gundam, one of the flagship machines of G Gundam and canonically piloted by Domon Kashu. It is quite the streamlined design, and it's remembered for its iconic Shining Finger attack. It'll be hopping in the ring as a 4-star machine. So let's talk the good stuff, armaments. So the Shining Gundam has 2 beam swords. One is longer than the other, the longer one's used for the Shining Finger sword attack, which I'll get into later. It also has a Vulcan turret set, 2 machine cannons, one on each shoulder, and 2 Shining Shot beam cannons mounted on the forearms. It also has a smoke grenade, but this saw very little use in the series, only ever being thrown once at pretty much the beginning of G Gundam. Now, the Shining Gundam also comes with a few modes. So by default, it's in normal mode, which is the default fighting state of the machine. Then there's battle mode, which sees the face armor open up for more ventilation. Battle mode allows the usage of the Shining Finger attack, while also boosting the speed and offensive abilities of the machine. It does take a hit in the sensor effectiveness and overall defensive strength, however. Next is Super Mode. This applies a large overall boost to the machine's capabilities, and has multiple panels on the armor open up, and it'll show off cooling systems and boosters and things like that. In G Gundam, the state was controlled by the emotional state of the pilot, but later on it ended up being something that could be activated at will. Last is True Super Mode. Gundam and naming schema, geez. Anyways, this is like Super Mode, but a gold color is applied across the suit. It further boosts the performance of the machine. To wrap up the discussion of what Shining Gundam has, let's talk about the special attacks. First off is the Shining Finger. This move has liquid metal cover the hand of the Shining Gundam, and after making the hand glow green, allows it to literally just cleave through the armor of other Gundams and machines. It can also generate an energy wave for a ranged attack. Now, a variation of this move exists, King of Hearts Shining Finger, which is just the name of this move when it's being used in True Super Mode. The hand becomes gold instead of green. Now, the final bit for the Shining Gundam is the Shining Finger Sword. When used in Super Mode, the power of Shining Finger is focused into the longer beam sword, and it changes its color to green. No surprise. The beam sword's length increases dramatically from all the extra power, and it can also be used to summarily cleave through the armor of opponents. Now, the naming conventions of the Shining Gundam leave a lot to be desired, but it is one of the old school machines, so I'll just gloss over that. Alright, now on to the Sengoku Astray, a 4-star unit popping up from a more recent entry into the Gundam universe, Build Fighters. The base form of this joined us a while ago, and now we get this Gundam Build Fighters version of it. Now, the spin-off machine is controlled by Nils Nielsen, or Nils Yachima, I guess. Now, Nils represented America during the Gunpla World Tournament, and is a superfan of Japanese heritage due to his upbringing. I see some weird Japan knob polishing here, but that's anime, I guess. The machine looks dope, though. Now onto the armaments. The Sengoku Astray comes with 2 samurai swords. Nothing to explain here, coach. 2 large katanas mounted onto the shoulders. It has an Oni no Tate, and that's the weird Oni face shield on the back of the machine. The eyes double as thrusters. It also has a Radome Yo-Yo. It's not really a part of the machine, per se, since it was actually added during the competition's original weapon battle. It's a yo-yo with an electric shock attack. It has an axe, can also be thrown, and it also has a hammer. Much like Gujin's, this has thrusters on the back for more oomph. Beyond that, though, Sengoku Astray also has a couple of other additions to it. Funsaiki, which is actually a nod to G Gundam. It's a mecha horse. Sengoku Yoroi, which is actually the name of those shoulder armor bits, but they can turn into extra arms. Next is the particle alteration coating on the katanas. It allows them to slice through beams and barriers, which is pretty cool. Finally, Particle Fajin. It's a melee attack that can be performed by the main arms or the Sengoku Yoroi arms. By forcing Plavsky particles into the opponent's Gunpla, it destroys it from within. Alright, Well, now that we've talked about the gacha machines, let's talk about the welfare, the Sword Strike. Now, I recently talked about the Ale Strike and the module packs it has. This is one of them, to nobody's surprise. I'm going to skip any type of lore on the machine, because I already did it when the Ale was added, so go watch that video if you're interested. On to the armaments. Since the machine is still the Strike, with just some slightly different toys due to the module pack, it also comes with the 2 Eagle-Stellung CIWS turrets in the head and the combat knives in the legs. Now on to the new stuff that the pack brings. 1 anti-ship sword, the Schwertgewehr, and I'm totally sorry for my pronunciation, it's German, I don't do German. The beam can be turned off and it can be used underwater due to the sharpened metal tip of the blade. It also has a rocket anchor, the Panzer Eisen. It sits on the left forearm, and it does as printed on the tin. You fire it out, it latches onto something, you reel it in. Interestingly enough, the anchor has an anti-beam coating, so when it's not out and extended, it can be used as a small shield. Finally, it has a beam boomerang, the Myas Messer. If we're being frank, I have no bloody idea how this thing actually works. How does a beam return? It clearly doesn't obey air currents, but hell, whatever, it's anime and mecha, ain't gotta explain shit. So yeah, the Sword Strike's pretty straightforward. Big sword, small shield. A neat tidbit is that the module packs were designed to be placed on the Sky Grasper, a fighter that's used during the events of Gundam Seed during atmospheric combat. The launcher, to me, was the best, because whenever you saw it on them, it's literally a warship cannon placed onto a tiny jet fighter. Alright. Well, we've talked about the new machines, now we gotta do the pilots. First off, resident space cockroach Patrick Colasour rolls in as a 3-star. Now, why do I call him a space cockroach, you may ask? Well, because no matter the size of the boot that was used to stomp him out of existence, he just didn't die. First off, he survives being sliced up by Exia. Now, granted, this was Exia's decision, so he gets a pass. But next, he survived being fired on and hit by the Virtue Gundam. Following that in the desert, half of his machine got blown apart, and he had to escape on foot. After being given a prototype suit, his machine got decapitated by Virtue, again, and he managed to not die, and ended up being rescued while floating away in space. Later on, Virtue again, now with the armor thrown off, so I guess technically Natalie, he had the upper half of his machine vaporized, and he only survived because the machine that he was piloting had the cockpit in the crotch instead of the chest. Should I go on? Alright. He got shot down trying to stop Celestial Being's warship from entering space. Then he was met with Sheridim's fist in the asteroid fields, losing his machine's head and fleeing again. Everyone thought he finally died when he got kamikaze during the climax of the 2nd season, but nope, he again made it out. Now, he may not have survived nuclear explosions to the face, like Jesus Yamato, but he is hard to kill. Anyways, he ended up getting married to his commanding officer, Kati Mannequin, and it's assumed they lived happily ever after. I wonder if he managed to escape death by old age, too. And on to the final entry here, George Desand. From G Gundam, he's the canonical pilot of Gundam Rose, and France's representative during the Gundam fight. His goal by participating is to bring his nation honor. Now, there's not a terrible amount to say about him. He participated in the Gundam fight, and he helped out during the fight against Devil Gundam. So with that, I'll be going back to the comfort of my bed and crashing. Peace out, see you guys when the event starts, and I'll do my normal breakdown video then.